Hey everyone, welcome to the Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies portion of this podcast. We are here today again to review another film titled Civil War, directed by Alex Garland. So Nathan,
yes,
tell us what this movie is about.
Civil War is about a new American Civil War that takes place sometime in an undisclosed future. It's Nick Offerman is the president who is serving a third term. He's become very authoritative, and the nations of Texas and California have split off, and they have declared war on the American government. Many other factions pop up throughout this conflict, all fighting with each other throughout America and the States, and it follows a group of war journalists as they make the trek up to Washington, D.C. to watch they're called the Western Forces, the Western Alliance of Texas and California, to watch them storm Washington, D.C. and kill the president.
Awesome. And how did you feel about this film?
It took me a while to gather my thoughts on the movie, but I think I really liked it. Took me a while initially. That's something that happens with a lot of Alex Garland's movies when I watch them initially, is I'm like, that was a lot. I'll have an opinion on this in like 48 hours, much deliberation. But I do think I really liked it.
I like this film.
Nice.
I like this film a lot, mainly because of the fact that it uses... It's framed. The Alex Garland does a really good job in terms of framing this movie.
Yeah,
I thought the color visuals, the color palettes are great.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And in the beginning of the film, the violence is very new to viewers. Obviously, we understand it's a war movie, so there's going to be a lot of violence. But the gruesomeness of those scenes in the beginning of the film, it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, no,
and I think it takes a toll on a lot of people. And then by the end of the film, and I think this is sort of what Alex Garland was trying to like portray, but at the end of the film, you're sort of desensitized to it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good word.
In a lot of ways, Kaylee Spaney's character is us.
Yeah, the audience.
Is the audience. Because at first she's like this, you know, if you guys don't know about the film, Kaylee Spaney is trying to be this photographer. She's learning from Kirsten Dunst's character, who's her idol. And in the beginning, she is a happy-go-lucky individual who doesn't really know about the repercussions of war and like the casualties of war, and she's really taking it in stride and doesn't really know how to deal with it or cope with it. And then by the end of the film, she becomes that Kirsten Dunst character that we see in the beginning of the film,
disillusioned and borderline almost indifferent to the horrors directly in front of her.
It was a good film. I really enjoyed my time while watching this film. Obviously we don't have to break down like act by act like we did with other films, but give me your thoughts on it.
I really liked it. I enjoy. It's structured like a road trip movie, which I thought was really kind of fun, and it just goes from like different spots throughout the like American war front. And they just kind of, the cast of characters are war journalists. They kind of just experience like the different parts of this war through like small, almost like vignettes. They meet like kind of just like rogue, just kind of like vigilance throughout the countryside at like a gas station. They get into the middle of like a sniper shootout.
By the way, spoilers if you guys...
Oh, yeah. It's going to be spoilery.
Yeah, spoilery. I mean, you know this by now, but every review that we've ever put on this channel has been spoilers.
Yeah, no, we delve right into it. We don't care about your feelings. But, just vignettes. There's the Jesse Plemons scene, which is like...
Yeah.
That scene alone is the whole movie. That is price of admission right there.
He's
and
honestly
it's so good.
Like one of my favorite actors working.
No, he's so good, yeah.
That scene in it of itself was extremely terrifying. And the one thing that I really liked about this film is that you can see a lot of parallels between this film and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Really?
I do feel that, because even though it's dealing with two different subjects, I feel as if Kirsten Dunst's character, like this very somber, very monotone, is very similar to Lily Gladstone. And in the ways in which violence is portrayed in Killers of the Flower Moon, where it's just abrupt, sudden, no sort of music to enhance the violence or to warn you about the violence. It just happens with a bang.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But it happens all of a sudden.
Okay, nice.
So I do feel like as if there's like a lot of parallels between this movie and Killers of the Flower Moon. Obviously, this is not influenced by Killers of the Flower Moon in the slightest, but I do feel as if there's a lot of parallels between the two films.
Yeah.
And in terms of like influences, like you can definitely see like Apocalypse Now,
Heart of Darkness. For some reason, the movie I kept thinking of was you ever seen a Lord of War with Nicolas Cage? He's an arms dealer, I think, in Africa, just supplying like weapons to like kind of both sides of the conflict. And I saw what I took from that movie and this movie was kind of like just the people who are kind of, I guess, gaining something from the conflict, from the violence that is happening. Like the actual like details of the conflict are left purposefully vague, and it's more just focused on how do these people kind of like profit from this suffering and misery. That's what Lord of War is about, and I saw a little bit of that in Civil War, because the war journalists, again, I think they range from like Kirsten Dunst and is it Kaylee Spaney?
Yeah, Kaylee
Their
Spaney.
characters, they're looking for like meaning and like explanation in the conflict, and that pursuit just leaves them like hollow to the violence. And then there's Wagner Moura's character. I think his name's Joe.
Unsung hero, because obviously people are going to talk about like Kirsten Dunst.
Oh
and
yeah,
Kaylee
no,
Spaney
they're both amazing, but the entire cast is amazing. Wagner Moura is also, he's fantastic. He's really like, he gets a kick out of like all these firefights and all this like sensationalized violence that they witness. I think there's a shootout early on where like afterwards he's just like seen like smoking and laughing with the guys who won the firefight. So like for him, the like he's more interested in like the visceral experience of the war.
Yeah. And you did mention a few things that I do want to like address. First thing you said, how they left it purposefully vague.
Yeah.
I feel like with the inclusion of Texas and California as like the Freedom Alliance, that was done because of that reason, because they didn't want to make it so. And Alex Garland said in like a few interviews where he's like, I don't want this film to be politicized. In either direction. I want, hey, Texas, a notoriously red state, with California, a notoriously blue state, joining forces. And I think that's good. I think that in and of itself, I think in a lot of ways, this film is not. I'm happy that they didn't try to like modernize it in today's times, where it's like, oh, you got, two older people running for president. You know? Like, I'm happy that all of that is just left out of the table, because
it's all left gray and vague.
And I think that's great, because if you essentially just resort to talking about those two figures that are running for president now, then you're just within that time frame or within that time span, and it won't have time to grow. I feel like art should be able to be watched years from now. And I think that's what Alex Garland's trying to do. Where he's like trying to make sure that people can watch this film in 2080 or 2090 with not having any information about today's time.
And it can still be relevant to that time whenever you watch it. Yeah, no, I saw most of it, like the vagaries and the grays of the movie, as more just like, I think it gives you enough like small details of the conflict, and then asks you as the audience member with your own modern working knowledge to just kind of infer and interpret like the situations happening in the movie. And it does so again, like, you can watch this 10 or so years from now and still be able to like pull and like interpret different things from the film.
There was this one scene in particular that I really, really enjoyed, in which Kirsten's and Wagner Moura's car gets shot at, and they sort of take refuge, and they see these two people, Portland Maoists, who are just shooting at the sniper within this house. And they're like, we're members of the press. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, am I past the 10-minute mark? No. One of them uses the R word to the journalist. I really love that scene because it shows you, not only do they not know who they're shooting at, because they say they don't know who they're shooting at, but they don't give an explanation as to why they're shooting at them in the first place. which I think is one of the reasons as to what would happen if there was a civil war.
Yeah.
Where you just don't know. You're just acting on the idea of impulse and poorly thought out rationale.
Yeah, no. The movie is more about like the politics of war and the politics of violence, in the sense that like the only two sides in that conflict are you and the person trying to kill you. It strips away all the other stuff and is like, at the end of the day, it's just a game of kill or be killed. I really love that sniper scene. I think the press, they're like, what side are you guys on? Are you from here? Are you from there? And they're just like, sir, would you please shut up while we're trying to snipe this man?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know who he is. Just like, it doesn't matter. We're just trying to get through this and survive.
Yeah. I also really, off of that point, whenever there's like scenes of like dismay or like mass casualties, there's always this like music that plays.
Yeah.
I feel like music had a lot to do with this film.
No, there's a lot of musical sections and like needle drops throughout the movie.
It's great. I thought that
so
really
good.
added a complimentary piece to it. And again, the colors that were in this film, especially when they were at that suburb where they go into that shop.
Yeah.
That entire portion, it felt like you were just like watching a different movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah, no, it's even, I think even within that scene, the characters are confused. Like, I forget, I think this is either before or after the sniper scene, or I think some other skirmish. They just find themselves just like in a normal suburban neighborhood, and like a normal just like streets with shops that are open, kids and families are walking around. I think they even like comment just like,
Did we transport to another time?
yeah, like, are we in a different time? Is this the Twilight Zone? And they just like start talking to people throughout the town. They're just like, there's a massive civil war going on. The people are just like, we just try to stay out of it.
Yeah.
We just watch the news, We're just not involved.
There was humor in this film.
Yeah, no, it's a very
It's
like
not-
light sprinkling of
yeah.
dark humor.
Yeah, there was like one moment in the beginning, near the beginning of the film, where maybe in the first act, where Kaylee Spaney was like, "Well, if I got shot, would you take a picture to Kirsten Dunst?" She said that to Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
And Kirsten Dunst was like, "What do you think?" And then I just did like a hard cut to a different scene.
Yeah, no, and I think that's also foreshadowing for stuff later.
Yeah,
in the
later
movie.
in the movie. But that was I thought the humor really worked, and the aspect ratio I thought was very noted. It was a 185 aspect ratio. In IMAX, it's 1:9.
Ooh.
So when you see the film, even in a standard format, you can really see the visuals pop out in ways that you wouldn't in other films.
Yeah, no, on a technical level, this movie is just it's staggering. It's so beautifully shot that it's kind of across the board with all of Alex Garland's movies. Just like visually, they look
Who did the
so
cinematography? Do you know?
gorgeous. I'm not 100% sure.
All right, let me
I
look
don't
it
really
up.
know.
Let me
Yeah,
look
go
it up.
ahead. But like another thing that sticks out to me is the sound design. Like every like when gunshots are being fired, you feel that. I saw it in a normal theater, but I know our friend Ethan saw it in IMAX, and I couldn't imagine that for a second, just because the gunshots are so loud. They echo throughout the entire room. It's like every time there's a gunshot, like you will physically jump in your seat. It's so intense. So the sound design is just off the hook.
Yeah, I truly believe in that as well. Where you see, just the gunshots.
Yeah.
They were just so visceral. It sounded like no other movie. Where it felt like it was an actual gunshot.
Yeah. No, it's like the guns were giving as good a performance as the other actors in the movie.
Yeah, it's a film that you definitely have to watch. I do feel as if this requires discussion and warrants thought to it.
Yeah,
because
no.
feel as if, and this is one of the reasons why I hate Twitter, and this is why Twitter fucking sucks. And it's past the 10-minute mark, so I can say that. But Twitter sucks because there's just a lack of like nuance to discussions.
Yeah,
and I feel like this film is a film that deserves discussion, but in a more nuanced way. And instead of people just on both sides being like, well, why did he include this, guy as a thank you? Why did he thank this guy in the post-credits scene? Why did he thank this journalist named Andy Nago? It's like, well, that's not pertaining to this film. It's just like, watch the film and then base your discussion or base your judgment off of that film instead of like the thanks or a post-credit scene. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, the movie, it wants you to talk about it. It wants you to engage with it again, and like it asks that you think about like the conflict and use like your own knowledge of like American politics in the last like decade to infer upon what's happening on screen.
Yeah. By the way, the cinematographer is the guy that has worked with Alex Garland. Rob Hardy. He's worked with him on Ex Machina and Annihilation, which, by the way, we love Annihilation. I love Annihilation.
Annihilation's so good.
And Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, fantastic. All of Alex Garland's films, just like he has just been constantly hitting home runs, with the exception of Men, maybe. I still like that movie, but it's definitely the weakest of his filmography, I think.
Definitely the most divisive.
Yeah.
It's like The Village for Shyamalan. You know?
Men is Alex Garland's Village.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. By the way, I love M. Night Shyamalan's The Village.
No.
I don't care. I love that film.
No, it's a good movie. It's just Shyamalan's in his own little world.
Yeah. But in regards to like how people are viewing this film, I think a lot of people are thinking like, oh, this is going to be like Republican bad or Democrat bad.
Yeah.
You know, they want to have like a villain. And I feel like the
exactly.
lack of this film giving a particular villain, I feel like that irks people.
Yeah.
But in a Civil War situation, or just in any situation, when you have like a person in the film, they say like he's in his third term of office, he's done airstrikes to his own civilians.
Yeah.
Like that in of itself should be the villain. Just those actions alone should constitute him as a villain, regardless of what political party that person identifies with.
Yeah, no, the movie it feels all very intentional, that the movie's like not like directly pointing at someone and being like bad, good. It is about it lives in that moral gray. It lives in the nuance of like it could be anyone, really. And it's just, I see people just being like, just wanting, it feels like people just want to be validated for their opinion. Like, oh, please, movie, agree with me. I want to be right. And the movie's like, no one's fucking right. You're all stupid and you're all going to get yourselves killed.
Yeah, I mean, it made a lot of sense when you saw people with men with pink nail polishes trying to sniper some guy. It's like, that's a perfect, because you think that, oh, that's a liberal dude. He should be against guns. And then when you see him trying to sniper rifle somebody, you're like, oh, maybe he's not that good of a person.
Yeah, no, it's about like when violence happens, like these like structures that we all apply our brains to just crumble, and we're just left with like the most base instincts imaginable.
Should I call Ethan?
Let's call Ethan.
A friend of ours, Ethan Cannon, as you know, he is like a recurring figure within our podcast. A guy who I include in every single one of our podcast episodes, but never shows up. He actually watched Civil War not once, but twice in IMAX. So we're gonna call him. We invited him to come to talk about the podcast, but in classic Ethan fashion, he's resorted for us to call him instead. So we'll call him, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, we are calling him.
This is gonna go as good as last time.
Probably. Will he pick up? If he calls during the podcast, I want to flip off. I want to flip him off. Tap me, I don't care. You think he's going to pick up?
I don't think he's gonna pick up.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Call has been forwarded to an
Darn. Oh well.
All right, Ethan. You had your chance.
You'll have to wait till next week, people, to know if Ethan's real or not.
Yeah, we keep including pictures. I keep including pictures of him on the pod for some reason. For some reason, I do that. But yeah, overall, this was a great film. I really did enjoy my time while watching this.
Yeah.
I also think in a lot of ways with this film is that I think it's quite straightforward.
Yeah.
I don't think that this film requires that much like, oh my god, like attention to detail too. Like that's like when I see this film, like a lot of people are like, oh my god, because parts of the dialogue are kind of hard to hear, especially in the beginning part of the film. Maybe it's just my screening, because my screen people were just talking, which we'll get into just one sec about like our experiences watching this film.
Oh yeah, we had some fun theater experiences.
Yeah, we had some fun theater experiences with this film, but overall, I feel as if the dialogue wasn't really that needed. You can still watch this film without the dialogue.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways. Because again, it's just people on a road trip. They're going through the sights and sounds of America during a Civil War. And I think what really resonates a lot is that like you can see these play. Oh, Ethan's calling. Damn.
Oh my God.
All right, Ethan
back.
is calling, so we're going to pick up. All right, Ethan. You are on the Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies portion of this podcast.
Hi, Ethan.
I'm on the pod.
Yay, you're here. So we're just discussing Civil War right now. What are your overall thoughts on the film?
What are my thoughts on Civil War?
Yeah.
I loved that movie. I thought it was awesome. I just thought the Jesse Plemons sequence was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was terrifying, and the sniper sequence, the whole thing was just awesome. I saw it in IMAX too.
Did you see it twice, right?
I saw it twice.
And how are your screenings for the movie?
They were both great, man. Hold on, I'm getting in the car. Is this unprofessional for the pod?
No, this is pretty in line with what we do.
Yeah, this is what's in line, honestly.
Both were great. I didn't think the movie was going to be that good. I think that's why it just surprised me, you know?
I like how it stayed off the political track that like we're currently like dealing with. Like it did a great job in terms of like not trying to like get in the way of like, oh, it's pertaining to like our current time. Like this movie could be like transported any time, and the film could still be as great. That's what I love about it.
It didn't feel like a political movie. It felt like a horror movie. That with like that. Cause I'm not like the biggest fan of like post-apocalyptic movies. You know what I mean? But this one felt real in a way without it diving into like politics. You texted me. It's not about like why it happened. It's just about like, holy shit, what if this happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point, Ethan. I mean, I really do think in a lot of ways, like Jesse Plemons is like the unsung hero of this film, where like his performance, his scene is just.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think his scene is just like so important in the film because like you really see how, especially in the body scene, the dead body scene, it's not just like just like non-white people in that like graveyard scene where he's at with like the red sunglasses. It's like very like multi-faceted, which I think gives you like a good like show as like, oh, like this is not like a white supremacist guy. It's just like a guy who's like very ultra nationalist in a way.
Yeah, right. And then I also I didn't give a shit about who was on what. The first time I watched the movie, I guess both times really, I couldn't tell who was on what side. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
With the exception of the end in DC, it's like I don't know who any of these people are. I don't really care either. It's just the disturbing idea of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Also, that chick was kind of hot, dude. I forgot.
Kaylee Spaney?
Elaborate.
Kaylee Spaney?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was into her.
Yeah, she's hot. She looked very young. She looked like a kid. That's why I couldn't really get into her, but.
Oh, okay. Thanks for making me sound like a pervert.
No worries, dude. All right, we'll get you going, okay?
Okay, I got one more thing, dude.
Okay.
I like the soundtrack was awesome.
Oh, the soundtrack was great.
God, yeah.
The music really helped out the film because it gave like a light balance to like the overall.
Like that pan over New York.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, awesome.
And the destruction of Lincoln Memorial as well. That was very, very touching.
Yeah, great shit.
All right, man. Well, we'll get you going. But thanks so much for calling into the pod.
Thank you, Ethan.
Thanks for having me.
All right, see you. Bye.
Talk to you guys soon.
All right.
Yay.
We
had a guest
Ethan.
spot.
Yeah, we got a guestie for Ethan. So yeah, Kaylee Spaney is hot. We tried to resort away from like making comments about Sydney Sweeney in like the last episode with Immaculate, and then
now we have to double down.
Now we got to be like, yeah, but she does look like a kid, doesn't she? She looks very young.
She's a
she's our age.
Young
she's
looking
25.
Ah,
What you wouldn't think.
wow.
Yeah. But overall, that's our conversation with Ethan. He enjoyed it. We enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
But we did have some interesting screenings.
Yeah. You want me to tell
Yeah,
my
go
story?
for it.
Yeah, so I went to see this at a smaller local movie theater with my dad. We sit down in our seats.
Your dad should have been the your dad should have been the guest for the episode.
My dad should. You don't want to get him talking.
Yeah.
But we sat down, and just behind us was a guy kind of talking to himself, just to no one in particular. And my dad was just like, "I'm getting bad vibes from him. Let's move to the back, away from this fucking guy." So we moved to the back, and I'm just kind of seeing the guy out of my peripherals, and he's just talking to himself, to no one in particular. And when trailers start, he's just shouting just random nonsense. And at first I'm just like, you know what, maybe when the movie starts he's gonna settle down and just enjoy the cinematic experience. That didn't happen. The movie starts, it opens with Nick Offerman being just the dictator president. He's talking about just our attacks on the Western forces have been very successful, yada yada yada, and the guy's just shouting out, "This is stupid! Fucking stupid!" A guy in the front row turns around, he's like, "Shut up!" Guy in the back, he's like, "You shut up!" They both tell each other to go fuck themselves. Guy in the front gets up, he comes to the back, and he's like, "Where you at? Where you at?" Because he can't see in the dark because the movie has started. They both stand up, they do the chest bumpy thing, just "What's up, what's up?" Guy in the back, further back, tries to diffuse, manages to get them out of each other's face. Manager comes in, the guy who was shouting and talking to himself. Evidently, he just walked into the screening. He just walked right in because the manager comes out and is like, "Sir, I don't think you bought a ticket. I don't know why you're here." And just they have an argument until finally they're like, "I will call the police." And then the man leaves. And that was the first 20 minutes of the movie. Wasn't fun, but at the same time, I guess thematically relevant to the movie.
The only thing more thematically relevant is Chris Stuckman doing a Civil War video game ad in front of his Civil War movie review.
Civil War is directed by Alex Garland, the man behind Ex Machina, Annihilation, Men. Fantastic director as well as writer, 28 Days Later. And this film presents a journey across a dystopian future America, following a team of military-embedded journalists as they race against time to reach DC before rebel factions descend upon the White House. But before we go any further, I want to say thanks to Conflict of Nations for sponsoring this video.
That's the only thing that lines up with that. We love you, Chris, but sometimes it can be cringy, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it can be a little cringy.
See, I grew up in a very mixed race environment. I had tons of friends of color, so I never really saw this myself personally. I grew up in a very all-inclusive family.
I love you, Chris, but yeah, overall that was a traumatic experience, right?
Yeah, it was a traumatic experience.
Yeah, my screening was a little not as it wasn't as bad as yours, but it certainly wasn't ideal. I mean, I was in the back of the because I like to buy seats all the way in the back. I feel like it's better for me. In case there's a gunman, I can just go down. I'm not gonna be if a gunman walks in, he's not gonna shoot all the way in the back. He's just gonna shoot in the front few rows. So a few dead bodies here and there. But I was just in the back because I like to mind my surroundings. Yeah. And in the film, when the film's being played, there's a couple to the left of me and the couple to the right of me who are just talking, just openly talking. And I'm watching the film and I'm being mindful because obviously I don't hate the movie theater experience. I do like going to the movie theaters. I do like spending my time there. Yes, things are very pricey, and yes, people do smuggle. I smuggle, smuggle is the right word.
So, yeah, you smuggle in candy from the Five Below, the dollar store.
Yeah, or the dollar store, yeah. And it is what it is. The movie theater experience, it is what it is. I've spoken glowingly about the movie theater experience in my previous episode, but after my latest screening, or the last screening that I watched of Civil War, not really.
Yeah.
I refute, and I want to take back everything I've said good about the movie theater experience, because when I see both of these couples talking on either side of me, I'm like, just watch the movie. Nothing you're saying is important. All right, if it's that important, then just say it after the movie, or just go outside in the back and talk. Because clearly you're not that invested in the movie. You're not really focusing on the movie. But there was this one scene in which they're driving through, Steele County, and there's like that sign that says "Go Steelers."
Yeah.
And for some reason, this dude just had the need to go to his wife to the left of him and say, "Go Steelers." As if we didn't just see the fucking sign in the movie.
And it's like, did they miss that on that same overpass with the sign are like several bodies just like hanging from the completely miss like the horrible imagery, and they're just like,
ooh, bodies.
Go Steelers.
It's just like, why is that necessary? Why are you talking in a movie? Like, if you have a need to have a conversation, if you think it's that important, go outside and talk. Right? Clearly you're not watching it. But thankfully, I did watch the movie. I mean, it was either this movie or seeing Spider-Man 2002 in the theater, which actually, good idea. I really want to do it.
2 Kirsten Dunst movies?
Back to back?
Hell yeah.
But anyways, it was either this film or Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I was going to watch Spider-Man as well, but I just didn't have the time to.
No.
It was either this film or watching Matt Rife at MGM Music Hall at Fenway. Which we love. We love Matt Rife here. I love Matt Rife.
I've never seen him.
You've never seen Matt Rife?
No, I've never seen. He's the guy with the big chin, right?
Yeah, he's like handsome Squidward.
The handsome Squidward.
He's the guy that was big on TikTok, and then he told like one joke, and then people got mad at him for it. And then because of that joke, he sort of, I wouldn't say he's regressed in terms of like selling tickets, but it definitely did take a hit on him because he does have a mostly female-centric audience, and when he told like a joke in regards to domestic violence, it kind of got them. But we still love Matt Rife because we are comedians as well. So. Anyway.
I'll need to watch him to form an opinion.
Yeah, you need to watch him. He's a good comic.
Do the one-handed belt.
Take my belt off? If I do, will you hang yourself with it?
But anyways, that's our screening, or that's our review on Civil War. Overall, did you like it?
I did like the movie. I did like it a lot, and I would highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's a great film, and I recommend it as well. I won't say it's my favorite film of the year.
No.
But I definitely do think that for how ambitious this film was,
yeah,
for the fact that A24 is distributing the film, because usually A24 doesn't make big budget or mid budget films of its caliber,
or like blockbusters.
Would you consider this a blockbuster? The budget was $50 million. So I'll consider it like a mid-budget film.
Mid-budget, but I feel like the scope of the movie, the action, like there's that massive, like the last 20-30 minutes are just one long action scene. It definitely feels like a bigger movie.
It turns into Call of Duty by like the last act of the film.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's a bad film.
No.
I still like some of the COD video games. So
yeah, no, that last 30 minutes was just like Modern Warfare 3.
Yeah, it basically.
And I love that game.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's a review. I really liked it as well. I thought it was great. The visuals are amazing. The storytelling was also great. The acting in general was Edward Moira. Patrick Moira?
Wagner
Moira.
Wagner Moira?
He was amazing in this film.
Name.
He was great. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a lot of praise for Kirsten Dunst and Kaylee Sweeney, as there should be. But Wagner Moira also did really good in this film.
Fantastic. I just keep thinking there's one scene near the end. There's a major character death. And like I just have this image of Wagner Moira just screaming like a madman. I'm like, oh, this guy's got the sauce.
Yeah. Thankfully, they sort of like took away the audio from that scene.
Yeah,
and
no,
just put in music.
It's just like this beautiful, haunting track playing while people are screaming in horror.
This one was great.
Wonderful.
This film was great, and we highly recommend it. It gives us 2 thumbs up. Siskel and Ebert, 2 thumbs up. Yeah. Overall, that's our review on the film. Hopefully, you guys watched it as well. If you did, leave a comment down below. How did you feel about it? You know. We like to really have engagement on this, on these.
Engage. Tell us your opinions, internet, because we know you always have very well put together thoughts.
Like and subscribe. I'm getting to the point now where I really dislike that phrase, like and subscribe. Because if they like it, they'll like it.
Yeah.
If they really do enjoy it, they'll subscribe to it.
You have to do it because we told you to.
Yeah. Anyways, that's our review, and hopefully we can talk about more films in the future.
Yeah.
What film should we talk about next?
Oh my God, what is coming out? I don't know. There's a movie I saw recently, The First Omen.
We can talk about that. We can talk about The Challengers.
Challenger?
With Luca
Guadagnino, I think is his name. Yeah,
Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and one other dude.
Yeah, no, I like me some Luca.
Yeah, well, we'll probably have like a woman here to review the film. We'll take the day off, and then we'll just have like I don't know some chick.
we can call my mom. She's a lady.
All right, that's it for us. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.